Basquiat Banksy dialogue. What happens when you take two revolutions, born decades apart, and force them into conversation? This isn't a séance to conjure ghosts of art past, it's a bold, intellectual experiment unfolding within the hallowed halls of the Hirshhorn. The museum has orchestrated an unprecedented dialogue, a conceptual showdown between two of the most disruptive forces in modern art, Jean-Michel Basquiat and Banksy. This isn't about imagining a coffee shop meeting between the man who was the radiant child of the 80s New York art scene and the anonymous phantom of the 21st century global stage. Instead, it's a meticulously curated conversation where the artworks themselves do the talking, screaming and whispering across the years. The core premise is electrifying. What do these titans of rebellion, these anti-establishment icons, have to say to each other, and more importantly, to us right now? The significance of this pairing is profound precisely because it is so unlikely. One artist's identity was his brand, his face as famous as his canvases, his life a meteor that burned with incandescent fury. The other's power is derived entirely from his absence, a ghost in the machine whose anonymity is his greatest weapon. The Hirshhorn's curatorial genius lies in its refusal to simply place these works side by side as a then and now of street art. That would be too simple, too linear. Instead, they've created a conceptual arena. Imagine turning a corner and seeing one of Basquiat's frantic, text-laden canvases, a piece like Hollywood Africans, with its chaotic scrawls and biting commentary on race and fame. Then, placed in its sightline, is a classic Banksy stencil, perhaps the flower thrower, replacing a Molotov cocktail with a bouquet of flowers. The dialogue ignites instantly. Basquiat's raw, visceral pain and explosive energy confronts Banksy's cool, calculated, and deeply ironic satire. Basquiat shouts his truth from the canvas, every brushstroke a testament to his presence, his body, his experience. Banksy, in contrast, delivers a perfectly packaged, razor-sharp punchline and vanishes, leaving the image to detonate in the public consciousness. One is a scream, the other is a smirk, yet both are aimed squarely at the same targets: power structures, hypocrisy, consumer culture, and the very definition of art itself. This exhibition forces us to reconsider the role of the museum. An institution like the Hirshhorn is, by its very nature, a pillar of the art establishment. It canonizes, it preserves, it assigns value. So what does it mean when this very institution brings two of the art world's most famous vandals inside? It's a fascinating paradox. The museum becomes a neutral ground for this intergenerational exchange, a space where the street is elevated to the level of high art, forcing a confrontation that could never happen organically. The raw brick wall is replaced by pristine white gallery space, and in that transition, something is both gained and lost. The urgency and illegality of the street are gone, but in their place, we are given the time and context for deep contemplation. We can study the frantic poetry in Basquiat's work, deciphering the crossed-out words and recurring symbols, like the copyright sign he so cleverly subverted. We can appreciate the technical precision and conceptual brilliance of a Banksy, understanding how its placement and context are as much a part of the piece as the stenciled image itself. The dialogue facilitated by the Hirshhorn is not always a friendly one. At times, it feels confrontational. Basquiat's work, deeply personal and rooted in his identity as a Black man in America, challenges the detached, universalist approach of Banksy. Jean-Michel's art is a diary, an exorcism of personal demons and societal injustices. His crown motif isn't just a logo, it's a self-anointed symbol of royalty, a claim to a lineage of greatness for himself and other Black heroes. Banksy's figures are often anonymous archetypes, the protester, the child, the soldier, designed for maximum legibility and viral spread. The exhibition asks, is art more powerful when it is tied to a specific, singular human experience, or when it is a universal, anonymous message for the masses? Does the artist's identity, or lack thereof, change the way we receive the message? These are the challenging questions that echo through the gallery. The museum isn't providing answers, it's providing the space for the debate to rage. It challenges our traditional notions of authorship. With Basquiat, the author is everything. His life and art are inextricably linked. With Banksy, the death of the author is the entire point. By placing them together, the Hirshhorn forces us to grapple with what we truly value in art, the hand of the creator or the power of the idea. Art styles compared. To truly understand the dialogue ignited at the Hirshhorn, we must first deconstruct the languages these two artists speak. They may share a rebellious grammar, but their artistic vocabularies are worlds apart. Let's begin with Jean-Michel Basquiat. To look at a Basquiat canvas is to witness a controlled explosion. His style is the raw, untamed energy of neo-expressionism fused with the frantic pulse of 1980s New York City. It's a visceral assault on the senses. His methodology was frenetic, almost shamanistic. He worked on multiple canvases at once, surrounded by a cacophony of books, music, and television, channeling this torrent of information directly onto the canvas. The result is a dense, layered tapestry of imagery and text. Words are as important as figures, but they are often scratched out, misspelled, or repeated, mimicking the frantic, disjointed nature of thought and memory. He pulled from a vast internal encyclopedia, anatomical drawings from Gray's Anatomy, historical figures, jazz musicians, cartoons, and corporate logos. His signature motif, the iconic three-pointed crown, was his way of crowning his heroes, Black athletes, musicians, and writers, and, most importantly, himself, elevating them to a sainthood the white-dominated art world refused to acknowledge. His rise was as explosive as his paintings. He transitioned from the enigmatic graffiti tag Samo, short for same old shit, to a global art superstar in a few short years, championed by Andy Warhol himself. He was a celebrity, a personality, and his life, fame, and tragic death at 27 are inseparable from the interpretation of his work. Now let's pivot to the ghost in this conversation, Banksy. If Basquiat is a chaotic explosion, Banksy is a precision-guided missile. His artistic methodology is built on speed, stealth, and wit. The stencil is his weapon of choice, and for good reason. It's a technique that allows for the rapid deployment of a complex image in a hostile environment, under the cover of darkness. His art is a hit-and-run operation. But don't mistake this speed for a lack of depth. Banksy's aesthetic is sharp, graphic, and immediately legible, borrowing the language of advertising to subvert its messages. His genius lies in juxtaposition. He places a riot cop in a field of flowers, has soldiers painting peace signs, or shows a little girl frisking a soldier. This simple act of combining two incongruous ideas creates a powerful satirical spark that critiques war, consumerism, and authority. His signature motifs are a cast of recurring characters in our modern urban fable. The rat, his most famous avatar, represents the downtrodden, the clever survivor who thrives in the cracks of society. There are the innocent children, often used to highlight the absurdity and cruelty of the adult world, and the monkeys, questioning our intelligence and evolution. Unlike Basquiat's meteoric, public-facing career, Banksy's has been a slow, anonymous burn. He has remained a phantom for decades, his anonymity allowing him to operate outside the system he critiques, turning the art world's obsession with personality completely on its head. His career is a masterclass in brand management, where the lack of a face, the face of the brand. The juxtaposition of their careers is as stark as their styles. Basquiat was absorbed by the very machine he critiqued. He was a gallery darling, dining with celebrities, and appearing on magazine covers. This fame gave him an incredible platform, but also subjected him to immense pressure and exoticism, the art world eager to consume its primal black prodigy. His tragic end is often seen as a cautionary tale about the voracious nature of the art market and the toll of fame. Banksy, learning from the cautionary tales of artists like Basquiat, chose the opposite path. By remaining anonymous, he maintains complete control over his narrative. He cannot be bought in the same way. When the market tries to co-opt him, he subverts it, as he did with the infamous shredding of his girl with balloon painting at a Sotheby's auction. The moment the gavel fell, the artwork self-destructed, a spectacular act of performance art that was a direct critique of the commercialization he so disdains. Basquiat fought the system from within its gilded cage. Banksy throws rocks at it from the outside. Both masterfully navigated the treacherous waters between the street and the gallery, but their strategies were polar opposites. One embraced the spotlight until it consumed him, the other has thrived for decades by living entirely in the shadows. This fundamental difference in their public personas and career trajectories makes their artistic dialogue not just a comparison of styles, but a profound meditation on the price of fame and the power of anonymity in the modern world. Block 3. Street Art Legacy. As we step back from the specific works and styles, the Hirshhorn exhibition compels us to consider the monumental legacy of these two artists. This isn't just about art history, it's about a living, breathing influence that continues to shape our cultural landscape. Jean-Michel Basquiat and Banksy are not relics, they are keystones. Their work has fundamentally altered the trajectory of contemporary art, kicking down the doors of the gallery world and proving that the most powerful statements often come from the margins. Basquiat, with his raw, intellectual graffiti, became a crucial bridge. He proved that an artist born of the street could not only enter the high art conversation, but could dominate it, bringing with him a vital perspective on Black history, identity, and the poetics of the urban environment. He legitimized a certain kind of raw expression, influencing countless painters who followed. Banksy, on the other hand, created a global blueprint for artistic activism. He weaponized virality before it was a buzzword, using the internet and mass media as his extended canvas. His work is designed to be photographed and shared, creating a decentralized exhibition that spans the entire globe. He has inspired a generation of artivists who use stencils, paste-ups, and installations to engage in political discourse, proving that a spray can be as mighty as a pen. Their combined legacy forces a critical and often uncomfortable discourse on the themes that defined their work: race, class, capitalism, and freedom of expression. Basquiat's art remains painfully relevant. His explorations of colonialism, police brutality, and the commodification of Black culture resonate with ferocious power in the age of Black Lives Matter. His paintings are not just historical documents, they are active participants in today's conversations about systemic injustice. Banksy's critiques of consumerism, surveillance, and the military-industrial complex have only grown more potent in our hyper-commercialized, digitally monitored world. When he stencils a child being surveilled by a CCTV camera, he's holding up a mirror to our own complicity in a surveillance state. Together, their legacies form a two-pronged assault on complacency. Basquiat demands we look inward at the complex histories and identities that shape us, while Banksy demands we look outward at the absurd and often cruel systems that govern us. Perhaps their most complicated legacy is the commercialization of street art itself, the ultimate paradox. Both artists began by creating art that was free, public, and illegal, a direct challenge to the commodified world of the gallery. Yet today, their works command astronomical prices at auction. A Basquiat painting can sell for over $100 million. A Banksy mural, cut from a public wall, can become a millionaire's trophy. This raises thorny questions about ownership and authenticity. Who owns a piece of art created on a public wall? The artist? The property owner? The public? Banksy has directly engaged with this paradox, often mocking the very market that clamors for his work. His film, Exit Through the Gift Shop, is a brilliant satire of this very phenomenon. The commercial success of these anti-establishment artists is a testament to capitalism's incredible ability to absorb and monetize even its own critiques. It's a tension that remains unresolved and is central to the ongoing story of street art. Is it a sellout, or is it the ultimate validation, proving that these once marginalized voices are now the most important and valuable of our time? This is where the Hirshhorn's role becomes so crucial. By staging this dialogue, the museum is not just displaying art, it is actively participating in and cementing this legacy. It acknowledges that the conversation started by Basquiat and Banksy is one of the defining artistic dialogues of the last 50 years. The institution provides a space for reflection, allowing us to see the deep connections between Basquiat's fight for personal and cultural recognition and Banksy's fight for social and political justice. It affirms that the power of protest art, whether scrawled in a notebook, painted on a canvas, or stenciled on a wall, has an enduring capacity to speak truth to power. The future of art that began on the streets is now being debated in the halls of our most prestigious museums, and that in itself is a revolution. The conversation they started continues, echoing far beyond the gallery walls, challenging us to keep our eyes open, to question authority, and to find our own voice in the noise.